This thing is, I love my new microphone setup. It won't unplug, it won't break anything. It actually works surprisingly well, but it blocks the damn start button. I can get the tip of my finger in there to push the record button, but I pretty much can't do it with a glove on. So if I'm riding along and decide, hey, there's something cool going on, hey, I'm about to fly off a mountain, maybe this will make for good video. Yeah, I can't easily turn the goddamn camera on. I can never get anything to work exactly the way I want. There's always a glitch. Things that should work just don't for me. That's one of them. So I've got something where my camera and the microphone and everything's functioning really well and getting good audio quality, and it's mounted securely. There's no chance of it going flying off in traffic. However, it's really hard to start and stop the camera now. So, I don't know. I have this metal cage. Maybe I can get a different cage. Also, it's hard for me to open the fucking lid of my visor here because that thing sits on top of the camera right in front of the latch. So what I've got to do is see if maybe there's another cage out there I can use that has the cold shoe mount a 1/4 inch to the left. That's all I need. That would free up. It wouldn't be sitting on top of it. It seems like a really weird thing, and maybe a lot of mounts, a lot of things that you would put on the cold shoe mount aren't as wide as the microphone receiver, so it doesn't normally cover it. But to me, that does seem like one design flaw. It's really close. So if you have anything that's like an inch and a half wide, external light, boom mic, anything like that, and you click it into that cold shoe mount, you're now blocking access to the record button on the goddamn camera. It sort of defeats the friggin' purpose. So a lot of good products out there that they're like, this is almost perfect, and it's like you almost got a home run, or I'm going to use a football analogy, touchdown, and then you get to the 1 yard line and you trip on your dick because you didn't think like, oh, we mount this thing here, now we can't actually use the camera. Is that going to be a problem? Yeah, that's going to be a problem. That's what happens when you let engineers design things and you don't give it to somebody. You're just like, well, I just have to have something mount securely on top, and all right, it'll do exactly that, and it'll work very well for the mounting of the accessory. Oh, wait, you wanted me to mount it there and make the camera still usable? You think that would be, understood, but from my short stint in working in product management, you can never, when you're sending it to engineers, whether they be mechanical or software, whatever you put up in your requirements and your writing and say it needs to do this, they will make it do exactly that and no more. And so certain things that you think are a given, like, well, of course I want to still be able to use the camera. Well, you didn't say that in the requirements doc. And you sit there looking at them and you're like, did I really have to say that? I mean, isn't that just understood? Well, you should have put it in there. All right, well, my bad, I guess, for assuming that you knew that this was for a camera and that pressing the start button might be desirable to the end user. I used to run into that all the time. Well, for the short stint that I was there anyway. The developers are like, you said to do this. It's like, yeah, but you can't lose sight of the big picture. It's like, do I have to spell everything out for you? The answer is yes, you do. So I guess that's probably one of the biggest things of being like a product manager was don't assume that everyone's on the same page and has the same level of understanding of the use cases and that you might. And it doesn't mean you're smarter. It's just if you're coming from the perspective of, I need to enhance it to do A, but it still needs to do B. So A, we want to have A and B, not one or the other. Well, you better spell that out. Or you got a 50-50 chance of getting A, and they do it by taking away B. So, anyway, riding along. We're going over to Jimmy's house. So we did a couple videos with Jimmy yesterday. We did the David Jimmy Show podcast. And then Jimmy bought a new to him 2015 Yamaha R1 Raven edition with very low miles, but not without its challenges. So he's over there now changing Earl and doing all kinds of stuff. I figured I'd go over and see how he's doing, give him a hand. It's going to need brake pads, going to need coolant, going to need brake fluid, complete flush, inspect the lines, whole bunch of stuff. Tires, a new seat. He found a nest of some sort, so a rat, because it turns out the rider that had it the owner hadn't ridden it in 2 years, so the gas in there was shit. It's running really rough. Did put a nice tailor-made exhaust on it, kind of MotoGP looking side exit, real flush with the fairing. Looks kind of cool, sounds great. It's running better now that Chris Moore did his ECU flash on it, but still got to get all the bad gas out of there. So we put in some heat. HEET is a gas additive. Fuel injector cleaner, helps remove water. It's like dry gas and a bunch of other stuff all mixed into one. I think STP makes it, or maybe, I think it's STP. Maybe it's not. Maybe it might be another company. But anyway, so we're gonna put that through. Brake pads, new tires, seat. Yeah, basically all the fluids. But the guy ended up keeping it outside for 2 years. He put a cover over it, but he had a mouse or a rat chewing on the seat, and ate part of the seat. There's a nest up in there. I can only hope that it didn't chew through the goddamn wiring or the shielding on the wires, because that could be a nightmare troubleshooting. If they chew away the insulation and then the bike gets wet and stuff starts shorting out and not working properly, that's no bueno. Wiring harness is not cheap. Might be like $700, $800, $900 for a bike like that. I don't know. It's not going to be cheap, I know that much. So heading over there. It's a nice day, although it is a bit chilly, which is actually why I'm riding this bike, because this bike got heated grips. It's only like 59 degrees. It was 85 the other day. Yesterday was 44. We had a 40-degree drop in temperature from like over a span of like 3 days. So I got the bike with the heated grips, and also I wanted to do just a little more riding around in traffic, which is why I'm going this route instead of back road blasting. Just to see how am I really going to stick with the slightly taller gearing of going up 1 tooth to a 17-tooth front sprocket. So far, I really don't notice, it doesn't feel any slower on acceleration, although on paper, mechanically, it has to be. I noticed that it wheelies a little bit in second, but it's not really powering up unless I bounce it. Before, it would just sort of power up. Now it's but it still is coming up in second. I'm kind of okay with that because I'm not a big wheelie guy. You know, it's fun on the MT10 because it's all, limited by the lift control. I can just ride like a retard and it'll keep me out of too much trouble. It comes up and then just softly puts it down, so you kind of look like a pro, like you really know what you're doing, when I don't, at least as far as wheelies are concerned. I kind of like the acceleration to be where it's just enough where it's just kind of pulling up. I don't like big wheelies because then the traction control cuts in or I have to cut throttle. So it's nice when it's barely just pulling the tire up and it's skimming. So basically you're getting as much acceleration as your traction can handle. That's how you go faster. I like that. First gear, this thing will still wheelie like an idiot. Just goose it. Anything above 2,500, 3,000 RPMs, and the front just flies up in first. Second gear, not as much. If I turn off the traction control, it will wheelie a bit more in second. And it's very manageable, but I'm liking how it feels. I notice when I'm going down the road at like 70, 75, if I'm in 6th gear, I'm just barely loping along at like 3,200 RPMs. At the interstate speed, at 60, 65, 70, it's a little too slow for 6 now. It'll do it, but if you give it gas, you kind of feel like it's lugging the motor just a little bit until it kind of gets up to 36, 3,700 RPMs. But at interstate speeds of 80 or 85, it's kind of perfect. You're right in that 37, 3,800 RPM range, which is out of the lug zone and right where the meteor torque starts. But you're turning lower RPMs, it's a little quieter, or it's a little smoother. You're probably using up a little less fuel if you just putzing along like that. So I'm definitely digging it. I'm going to stay with this gearing. I don't see any reason to go back. If I felt a significant drop in acceleration, I'd be like, no, give me my power back. But like when you're trying to go fast, hey, little kid's waving. When you're trying to go fast, like off the line, it's like it launches hard, you know. Launches way better than, let's say, like a 600, because it's just got so much torque right there, and you don't have to rev the shit out of it to get it. It's just like a sledgehammer. Boom, it goes. But then you run out of first gear like in 30 yards. You know, whereas the 600, you'd be 100 yards down the road before you're having to grab second. So you got time to just grab on, let it build revs and settle in. And it's like here, it's like I'm just off the line and I'm already having to go to second. So, you know, we haven't changed it radically, so it's not totally eliminating that. But it is letting me roll around in like one gear lower in a lot of instances. And so for me, I'm just kind of digging it. I don't know that I would do it on a stock bike, but who knows? You know what? I may be wrong. There's a lot of people that do it on the stock bike and they swear by it. I didn't think it was a good idea just based on the kind of riding I do and what I felt about the power. But on this bike that's making several foot-pounds more power and pulls longer to redline, it doesn't hit peak at 7,200 and then drop off at that last 800 RPMs. Mine continues making power, and we're a solid 10 horsepower up from stock. And so for this combination, it's like, it actually seems pretty goddamn good. Now the gearing on this bike is geared to go like 158 now. The bike has no chance of doing that. None. So on paper you'd go, oh, it's geared excessively. Why have a bike? It's like, you know, gearing a ZX14 to go 260. Well, unless you got a supercharger on it, you're not going that fast. It doesn't have the horsepower to go that fast stock, or even with just a simple tune. That thing needs to be, you know, seriously boosted to push through the wind at that speed. So on a regular bike, it wouldn't make sense. But this thing only makes just over 100 horsepower, and it's electronically limited to 134 anyway. And the stock gearing is already higher than that, so it's kind of like, all right. It puts it in a little bit more of a sweet spot where you're just not constantly shifting. You're shifting a little bit less. And it doesn't seem to adversely affect acceleration. And, man, to me it seems fine. So, oh, those grips are nice. I have them on low, and my hands are like almost too warm. Right at that limit. Actually, let's go ahead and turn those off. Low, me, high. Oh, I guess it just has low, high, and off. It doesn't have medium. Limited range of adjustment, but I mean, what else do you need? In the wintertime, you're going to use low or high. But yeah, loping along in third gear. Acceleration is still pretty instant. It's like right there, ready to go. Alright, we're going to take a couple back roads. I don't feel like... I'm going to have my front rotor looked at, because when I feel like it drags intermittently on the one side, and I'm pretty sure when we did my suspension, Kent put a run-out gauge on it and said it was out of spec. It wasn't perfectly straight. And I've heard from a bunch of other people that had 22 speed twins that their front rotor needed to be replaced from the factory. Just a bad batch, maybe a bad heat treat, so when you really clamp down on the brakes, it was causing it to warp. But I feel like there's a little bit, it's not enough where it pushes, you know, you can get a bad rotor where it's like shuddering. It's not that, it's just like when you're like 0.5% or 1% brake, very slowly kind of pull into a stop, you can feel it. And you kind of hear it, a little hum, and it's intermittent. You can tell when it gets around to that part of the rim, it's gripping it just a little more. It's like a couple thousandths out of true. If that's the case, that's what a warranty's for. Bike's almost a year old, but I got a 2-year warranty, so see if I can get a new rotor out of them. Especially if it's a sort of known issue. So I got my ECU flash. If you watch my other videos, which are posting right now, had a little bit of drama. We went up, got Jimmy's bike, and then he's like, "Wait, let's just get it flashed." He's like, "You're taking you to get, we're going up that way anyway." So I was getting my bike flashed, but I just brought the ECU because it was pouring rain out, and I didn't want to go to the trouble of having to get my wheel chock installed in his trailer and bring the whole bike up there. I was like, well, let me just, he does mail-in flashes, so let me go pull the ECU and take it up. So we got it up there. Some nice houses. We got it up there, and then unfortunately we got it flashed. Everything was good. We got a new map for the Leo Vinci DCAT. It's going to make a little bit more power, but it's going to make a lot more sound, be fueled properly. Also, the bike's going to be at least 10 pounds lighter. Little things add up, but it's going to sound amazing. It's going to sound like my R1 sounded, with just a little bit of that raspiness removed. The Leo Vinci DCAT is a straight pipe. There's no baffles per se, but it's got a very small resonator chamber that just takes a little bit of that metallic raspiness out and leaves you with the deep booming mellow tone. It's going to sound awesome. But I got home and he's like, "Oh, with these new bikes, we're seeing some weird issues." I think he even said, he's like, "Until we get them fully sorted," I'm taking it off my website, because these new ECUs are giving people a little bit of problems intermittently. But like on this one, well, on the one at home, the MT10, he's like, because you pulled it out of the bike, and I've got to, I have to plug it into a battery in my harness here on my laptop to flash it. The ECU has to be like on, right? It has to be powered up to flash it. Well, when it's not in the bike, it's not connected to the CAN bus system, which is, it's a network. It's not just, oh, there's a wire and a voltage signal. It's like these things actually all like talk to each other on a network. And so when something's not there, the other peripherals that rely on the wheel speed sensor, this, that, for these safety systems to work, they freak out. And it throws a code. And you can't just clue the code from the dash no mo. You actually have to get a code scanner and read the codes and then erase them. But the one I bought didn't work. Then I bought a much nicer one, and then that one didn't work. And I'm freaking out because the bike won't start with 16 or 17 fault codes in the ECU. And you can't just unplug the ECU. That's how you got the codes in the first place. So these new ones really are a pain in the dick to deal with. Was able to get it sorted by an idea from TJ. I was like, let me go to my Tune ECU, my old trusty LX Bluetooth module that I bought, I don't know, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Let me plug that bad boy into the wiring harness, pair it to my phone, and then download the Torque Pro app and see if that'll get it done. And lo and behold, it friggin' worked. And then the bike started up. I was like, which it wouldn't do before with all those codes. I want to go in there. That's a Emory University or something. It's a primate research center. It's probably where they're like playing with gain of function shit, monkey viruses. Maybe they got monkeypox in there. You can see it from Google Maps. They got buildings and chimp swings, and I don't know, they got monkeys back there, right here in the middle of the subdivision. It's I think it's part of Emory University and the CDC. So when there's the next outbreak of monkeypox or Ebola, shit probably started right there. Anyway, monkeypox aside, I got the bike to start. My new pipe is actually arriving early tomorrow, as long as UPS doesn't screw up my shipment. But I got the email from them saying it's scheduled for delivery tomorrow morning around lunchtime, so I should be able to get that installed. It'll be about sunny and 70 tomorrow, so after work I'll be able to take it for a spin to fix the last remaining problem, which is the dashboard. You can scroll through things, it works, the revs, like everything works, but you can't go into the settings to set the clock or change traction control or slide, like none of the ride modes are, it's stuck in B mode, whatever it was in before the flash. You can't go to make any changes. So then I'm freaking out about that. But then I do remember that my R1 had a similar issue. And we didn't even flash the R1 at the time. I just put it on the dyno. All it took was for the rear wheel to be spinning on the dyno drum and the front wheel stuck in a chock. And it was like, whoa, something's wrong. One wheel's spinning, but not the other. And so it would run fine, but it had a check engine light. And if there's a check engine light, you get locked out of the settings and you can't change ride modes. There's no codes in the ECU anymore, but I think it's got to do some kind of calibration shit. I need to get the pipe on there so I can actually go ride it, and it needs to go, and it probably has something similar. You just have to do it manually. Tell it, hey, do this calibration to go see. Okay, got to go this speed and this gear. It knows what the front wheel should be doing in reference to the back wheel, and if it sees that, it calibrates, gives you a green light, and you're good to go. Yamaha's doesn't have a button to tell it to do it. I think you just have to go out and ride the thing for 10-15 minutes. And it'll go, okay, everything's hooked up and all the wheel speed sensors are not only connected, but they are giving me readings that are expected, so we're good. And it'll clear that last check engine light, which will unlock the dash and let me back to do all my stuff. And at that point, that thing is ready. I think it's going to be a freaking riot with that Leo Vinci pipe and the new tune. Pick up a little bit of power, not much. Most of the power was already there from the first flash, but it will be nice. And as long as that thing resets the way I hope it do, we will be in good shape, and I will be a happy man. And at that point, I am done with mods on that bike. And all of you going, yeah, sure. No, I mean, I don't know what else I would do. ECU flash, exhaust. I mean, at some point I'll change the air filter, but that's whatever. You got to do that from time to time just to clean or replace the stock one. Frame sliders. I got better brake pads in there already. Bar end mirror. Tank protector, tail tidy. Like, I mean, really, there isn't anything else to do. So I think that'll be it. So yeah, I really do like this bike. There's the cop. I knew he was gonna be up here somewhere. Gwinnett College Stadium. Yeah, so going over the old side of town near my old stomping grounds. Yeah, I notice I am having to run a gear lower through here than I usually do. Like normally I could roll through there in fourth. Fourth was just a little too low of a gear. The motor was just a little luggy. And drop it to third. But overall, I am happy with the gearing changes. I really don't see myself going back. Once you're at your target RPM range. Oh, these brakes are strong. These brakes are actually better than the MT10s by a good margin. Yeah, I saw someone the other day talking on the Triumph group, like, oh, on the Speed Twin, the new 22, which has the Brembo radial master. It's got braided lines. It's got Brembo radial calipers. I think they're M50s. It's a phenomenal brake setup. This is the same brake setup I had on my Panigale. And I think the Street Triple. The master cylinder might have been slightly upgraded. So I was like, I need a new master cylinder. I just don't, there's not enough brakes. And I'm like, I'm asking him, I'm like, what are you talking about? Not enough brakes. If you could disable the ABS on these things, you could do a one-finger stoppie or a one-finger flip the front bike over the front. Or one finger just lock the front tire up. Like the power on the brakes is not lacking. Like, well, you know, on the Speed Triple it seems more or whatever. I'm just like I don't think these brakes need more. I'm not Rossi. I'm not claiming to be the fastest rider, but of the people that typically buy this model or this type of bike, I'm gonna say I'm in that upper bracket typically. There's some guys that are gonna be faster than me, but I'm gonna be faster than most. Most guys that buy this bike, they buy it because they just want a retro, they're hipsters, they want to tool around on it. There may be an older rider that just wants a comfortable cruiser that reminds them of their youth and, you know, has that whole vintage 70s vibe with some modern tech on it and modern performance. Most people are not buying this bike and hooning around and really ripping on it in the mountains and gonna do a track day on it like I am. Some are. The average, and it's not that most people couldn't, you know, I'm better than. I'm not, please don't think I'm saying that. I'm just saying that this bike appeals to a certain type of rider, and it's not the track day guy. It's not someone who's just going to get on it and pretty much 90% of the time ride it like it's a sport bike, like it's a CBR or an R6. And I do. I'm always ripping around on this thing up in the mountains. Wide open throttle, bouncing off the rev limiter. And it's like, I can't imagine having any stronger brakes than this, honestly. Now, I think you could get better feel out of the brakes by maybe putting some better pads and getting more initial bite, because the pads that they came up with, they didn't want it to be too aggressive and turn people off, because again, it's sporty, but the suspension was lackluster. The brakes are strong, but they want it to be probably a bit more mellow, because they know who their target audience is, and it's not track day guy. So anyway, I go down and trucks turn right. Well, I am not a truck. It's a new stop sign. That wasn't here last time I was here. Yeah, they've done a lot of work. When I lived in Lawrenceville over here, it was like the hood, kind of. The gas station on the one corner. There's someone was shot in the head in the bathroom. Now it's all like little microbrews. McCrae's Tavern is still there. That's good. And also, here's a little thing. So if you watch on HBO Max the show Doom Patrol, that's all filmed right here. So you got our normal haunt where we go down the Vampire Diaries stuff in Covington. But this street right here, like I think the end of season 1 on Doom Patrol, there was the big fight scene in the street. That was this street I'm about to turn left on. That all took place like right here. When you watch it, you'll go, holy shit, that is the street from Doom Patrol. There's the city little square. They got a lot more tables out there. Is McCrae's Tavern grown a little bit? There's that another place next door. Perry Street, something house. Go. Come on, lady. Yeah, so all that stuff is filmed right down here in Lawrenceville. And other places right around here. There's so much being filmed in Georgia now, man. But yeah, this is like a nice little section of town. That restaurant there is good. Ugh. It's definitely a cool little place now. They redid the courthouse a number of years back. Oyster Bay Cafe is pretty good. They got lots of outdoor seating. Put up these walls so some knucklehead on a bike can't run into you if you're sitting there having lunch. But it's cool down here. They're still building some stuff. But now there's like expensive condos and stuff like that, and neat townhomes and little boutique shops on the side street, where again used to be kind of the hood. Not anymore. They just need to finish all the construction, and it's going to look like downtown Roswell or Covington. I like that. Some people don't like gentrification or whatever, but honestly, you come in and make the place. I know it makes the place more expensive, and that may drive some poor people out. That's not racial, though. I mean, you got poor people of all colors. But they're doing like little concerts down here and shit. But yeah, look, like none of this stuff was up here when I lived on this side of town. You know, there's pretty nice apartments. I'm sure they're like $2,000 a month for a freaking apartment. That's a nice little place. Side streets cleaned up. These houses used to be hovels. And one or two might still be kind of but yeah, Lawrenceville's starting to look like downtown little Roswell area. Well, they rejuvenate the historic district and all that stuff. Maybe I'll do a little video ride around later. I'm gonna go to Jimmy's now. But I'm gonna go and maybe go past my old neighborhood. It's only about 5 miles from Jimmy's house. Go past my old house in my old hood. I don't miss living on that side of town, but it definitely, I do miss that house. It was a great house. It's only about 3,700 square feet, but it was a 5-bedroom, 4 full bath, everything hardwood and granite, Berber carpet, you know, double French doors on the front and into the guest or into the study, big archways and balconies and 20-foot 20-foot tall coffered ceilings in the living room. The bedroom was massive, had a big bedroom with vaulted ceilings. Then it had an area, it had 2 different sitting rooms. There was a sunroom sitting room, like a half circle, that really good lighting, and you could put coffee table and all that kind of stuff, and couches in there. And then the other one was more cozy and chairs around a fireplace. This is a gas fireplace, but it all worked off remote control and just turn it on and off from bed. And above the fireplace was the TV and stuff. It was a great walk-in closets were like the size of a lot of people's bedrooms. I love that frickin' house. And then the kitchen, unbelievable. So the kitchen was probably 16 by 35, somewhere like there. I know I had 38 cabinets. The island was about 10.5 feet long and 4 feet deep, with a bunch of I had so much storage, walk-in pantry, a bar area. That was just a really good floor plan. I wish I could have taken that house and moved it over to where we are now. I would just stay there. We'd have all the space. Oh, and a 3-car garage. And the one car, it was like 2-car attached to the house that you just walked into the kitchen. And then the other one was attached but didn't have a direct walkway into the kitchen. So it was like 2 facing one way and then one like an L. And that became your storage because it didn't have a basement. So you had a separate garage just for storage. And then the other one for bikes, cars, you know, whatever. I'll go past that. It was on about a half-acre corner lot. It's always good to go back and see how the neighborhood is. So I'm going to turn off my camera here because I don't know if Jimmy wants people watching and knowing where he lives. Probably doesn't. So when I get up to the light here, I'm going to go ahead and take off my gloves so I can shut the goddamn camera down. And then we'll pick up later. I'll go for a little ride on some back roads and go past my old house. See how the old hood looks. Alright, good. Get a red light here, so hopefully I'll be able to stop just long enough to get my damn glove off so I can turn this stupid camera off. Someday, someone's going to make a camera setup that actually does exactly what I want. We'll talk to you guys later. Should be working. Looks like it's working. Leaving Jimmy's. He's got his new to him R1 Raven edition. Getting it all set up for track days and stuff. Getting tires put on today. Did coolant, oil filter. Just got to do brake pads, flush the brake fluid, get a suspension set up, repair the seat. A couple of other, little things. Nothing really major to it. And then he needs to get out and rip on it for a while to get the damn fuel injector cleaner and the dry gas and the fresh gas, all that stuff that he didn't have a way to drain the 1.5 gallons of the bad shitty gas that was in there, so we just put some heat and fresh gas and mixed it in so it's half good gas and half shit gas. So as he runs it in, it'll start to smooth out and get better and better. And hopefully that's it. A couple cosmetic things and get it really just set up for the track, and Jimmy will be in good shape. I feel a little clunking coming from the front as I go over little bumps, but I think it's Steering damper bouncing up and down. I should try taping it in place. See if it doesn't do that. If it still does it, then I probably need to tighten the steering head bearing. Seen a couple times on bikes they're kind of loose. What are we doing? Come on, let's go. This is where I used to shop. I did like being on this side of town. And then it did kind of go downhill a little bit financially back in 08, 09 when the economy tanked. Wasn't quite as nice. But I think it's coming back with all the work they're doing in Lawrenceville and the film industry moving here. And what I did like, well, I talked before, I loved the house. But also, it was a really good area to ride in. You know, it took longer to get to the mall and some other things than I'm down. I just started out in second gear and didn't really notice it. Alright. But it was definitely a lot of beautiful roads, because you go in the other direction, there's nothing. It's all back county roads between my house all the way out to Athens and North Georgia, out to UGA, Watkinsville, that whole area, Elberton. Like, you could just go ride for days. That's what I would do when it was slow at work, or anytime I was off work, or like I need a quick blast. And I would never, and I have some of those roads near me now, but I also got a bunch of traffic near me. And out here there was no traffic. Put our warm heated grips back on. Yeah, I think Jimmy's bike's going to be all right. Should be making somewhere north of 170 horses at the wheel. It's got plenty of power for a track bike. All right, what's this clown up there doing? Riding the brakes while going under the speed limit. Of course they are. Why wouldn't you ride the brakes when you're doing 32 in a 45? The number of shit drivers is just appalling. I don't know what the holdup here is. We're going quite a bit under the speed limit. I feel like most of my rides just end up being me ranting about all the things that piss me off. But is it really my fault that there's so many things that piss me off? It's like, why is this jerk off just putzing along? I mean, we're almost up to 40, which is good, I guess. Probably slow down because it says 35, even though that's when school is in session and it's flashing. And back to 37 in a 45. Actually, no real good places to pass without being a dick, so I'm trying to mature as a person, and just take a chill pill. Grips are nice and toasty. So let's see, Grayson New Hope Road. Yeah, light's green, folks. Green means go. this is abysmally slow. There's a wall of cars behind us because there's one person up there that just won't do the right thing. Some people aren't very self-aware when they drive. They're just in their own little bubble. I didn't know hurry. If I looked back and saw a quarter mile of traffic on my bumper, I'd be like, oh shit, maybe I'm holding these other people up. I don't want to be that guy that holds people up. So I would pull over or, you know, speed up to the speed limit. Some people just, they're not cool and considerate like I am. And believe it or not, in a lot of ways I actually am. I try not to be a burden to people. I could be annoying. I can come off as arrogant at times. I could be argumentative. But when it comes to like actually doing things, it's like I actually try to help people. And I try not to be a burden to others. Right here's where my friend Joe low-sided. He had his 96 Seika 2. Or actually, his was a 97. My first bike was a 96. His first bike was a 97. And he got the bike, and we were talking about that yesterday with Jimmy when he bought his bike. And he was like, yeah, these tires are good. I'm like, they're shit. Oh, look at all the tread, man. They're like brand new. There's no miles on them. I'm like, dude, they're 12-year-old tires. I was like, they're hard as a rock. They're slippery. I'm like, I'm telling you. Well, let's go to Cycle Gear and see how much tires are. We get over there, they're closed. I'm like, shit. And on the way back, we're just going around that roundabout at the speed limit, and he loses the front. So his brand new, to him, first bike that wasn't immaculate, first thing he does is dropped it. I felt so bad for him. I was like, don't worry about it, dude. Just metal and plastic. We've all done it. But he learned an important lesson. Don't scrimp on tires. Don't think because it's, oh, the tread's good, doesn't seem to have dry rot. Doesn't matter. Your tires are your only connection to the road. You don't mess around and try to save a few bucks. The amount you spend on repairing is way more than the price of the tires. And that's if you don't get hurt. So there's my old house, that green house. Those Leland cypresses in the back. Holy shit, those are huge. I planted those, they were 5 feet tall. And do a little quick turn around here. Yeah, that's the first house I ever actually bought myself. Looks good. The shutters, I had black. They have this like dark maroon. But that was a great house, man. Love the interior design of that thing. Miss it. Yep. Yeah, all these houses are nice. When I bought this house, I bought that house in 03, 04. It was like $292. I don't know what's going for now, but I bet you it's up around $500,000. I mean, shit, the house I'm in now we built that in 2013 or 2014. I think we moved in 2014, that summer. Yeah, we've been there 9 years. So we built that house in 2014, and that house we paid like $273 for. That was before the pool and all that. That was all extra, but the house itself was $273, and right now Zillow's got it, I think, at like $565 or something. It was up to $605 about 6 months ago. Housing prices are just going crazy. Yeah, that's my old hood. It's starting to look really good now, though, because like a lot of the trees are now really growing in. You know, when you first move into a subdivision, it's like you got all these little dinky saplings, and it doesn't look really lived in. It doesn't look like it's grown up yet. But now, all the trees are really starting to fill out. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, little walk down memory lane here on Dave's garage. That was Dave's original garage. Didn't have a YouTube channel then. Oh no, actually, you know what? If you go back to my earliest videos, they're going to be in like 280p or 360p. They're going to look like shit. But when you go back to my earliest videos, you will see that I've got go look up like Kyosho, Kyosho. Like my I had like RC cars, and I had my original. All right, so there was the Max that I just had to put down recently, the Big Pity. But original Max was a Taco Bell dog. Was my Chihuahua. First dog I ever went and bought as an adult. My parents had dogs. I had cats because they were just low maintenance. Then I was like, I don't know, cats are kind of dicks. So I went and got dogs. What's up, people? And I had Max, my Chihuahua, and Bella in that house. So Max used to love chasing my RC cars around. So I had like this 8-scale brushless motor buggy, 4-wheel drive with 4-cell lipo, and god damn, that thing was a blast. Really fast. And Max, and I had like I had some other cars too, but Max used to love chasing that around the yard and up and down the road. And so I had the camera on it mounted backwards. You can go back and see those old videos. That's from that house. Max would just chase the shit out of that thing. And we'll go the next slip. Yeah, but these are the roads I would just come out and ride after work. Take a lunch break or something and come out and play and have a blast. Road's a little rougher than I remember. People coming out, people just late break coming out of subdivisions. I'm always like, are they actually going to stop? Because half the time people are like, oh, stop sign in a subdivision doesn't mean anything. Almost gotten clobbered a couple times, people doing that shit. Every time I see someone coming up to a side road real fast and wait until the absolute last second to slam on the brakes, turn into Nervous Nelly. Roads in a decade, but it's sort of coming back to me. Passing zone at all, maybe? No. Pass them anyway? Waited too long. Car coming. Will be nice. Alright. I think I'm going to shut off the camera when I get up to this light. And make a right and just start making my way home. I wonder what that house looks like. They certainly have an impressive little gate there. So, I think that's all, folks. I've been dropping 3 videos today. I think 4 technically, so that's plenty of stuff to watch. Go check out the Dave and Jimmy show yesterday. We talk about, well, recorded yesterday. It's up right now processing. We'll be making that go live shortly when we get home. Talking about Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney. And it's not any hate for Dylan Mulvaney. I just don't understand from a marketing perspective why Bud Light. I mean, do they not know their audience? Who's the average Bud Light drinker? Especially in the South. It's not the Dylan Mulvaney crowd. That would be like the Appletini and Cosmo crowd. So I don't understand their business decision to basically pander to this simp, this mincing little gay guy, which nothing wrong with that, but it's like, what's the point? Are you going to bring a bunch of, even if you brought every trans person in America into the fold and now they're big Bud Light fans, that's going to be about 1/95th of the amount of customers you're going to lose because you're just being stupid and woke and it pisses people off. So we spent some time talking about that. We talk about Trump being arrested and why is he being charged for what Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and John Edwards and half of Hollywood has done, paying people hush money and shit. And Hillary Clinton and John Edwards' case, using campaign funds for nefarious purposes, as opposed to Trump just paying some whore $130,000 out of his own money to just shut up and go away, which is pretty much what most of the Hollywoods and the people going, yeah, Trump needs to be arrested. Okay, so he did what you did. Why aren't you in jail? Oh, it's different. I'm a lefty. I'm one of the good guys. Oh, so the law doesn't apply to you. It only applies to people based on ideology? Yeah. You know who else did that? The Nazis. Every time you see a leftist calling someone on the right a fascist and, oh, you're a Nazi, or, oh, you're this and that. Oh, you could say what you want, but when you look at, actions speak louder than words, when you look at the side that more by far embraces the methodology and the practices of fascists and Nazis, it's almost never the right, dude. It's almost always the left. They may say things that they think are the opposite, but when you look at what people do, ignore what people say. And you can say you can mouth whatever words you friggin' want. What matters is what you do. And 9 times out of 10, if there's someone in the room being a fascist or a Nazi or oppressive, they ain't a conservative. It's your average open-minded, compassionate, progressive liberal. That's the dirty little secret. And that's why they like to silence the opposition, because they don't want people to point that out. So we're going to talk a bit about that, folks. And then we got another video of Jimmy buying the aftermath of him buying his bike and what we learned and all that good stuff. So good things coming your way. Give a like, give a subscribe. Tell us some things you'd like to hear. Tell me to shut up. I don't know, whatever. Tell me something. Comments help the algorithms. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it with your friends. The more likes I get and the more little bits of ad revenue start trickling in, that's what pays for guns. It's what pays for knives. It's what pays for the mods that I'm doing, or a track day, right? The more extra income I've got, not that I'm ever going to make a ton of money off of YouTube, at least not anytime soon, but, when I'm sitting there going, should I do this or shouldn't I? Then I'm like, well, I got an extra $250 coming from YouTube and another $100 coming from Amazon this month. Like, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and buy that exhaust pipe. And I'll do a video on it and see if I can at least recoup some of that. That's how this works. I'm not Chase on Two Wheels or Yami Noob, where I'm making 6 figures a year just off of YouTube. I got a day job for that. But if I can at least feel like it's not a complete money pit, where at least a significant portion of the funds that I spend are being recouped on YouTube, I have an easier time justifying that and selling it to my wife occasionally. So help a brother out.